Hello and welcome to the WIHS Journal Public Affairs program. I'm Jerry Williams. Well, he's an award-winning cartoonist, filmmaker, producer, writer, president, and co-founder of Hartford's Got Talent, and more. I'm talking about Connecticut's own Joe Young, president of Joe Young Entertainment. Today and tomorrow, you'll be hearing my conversation with this Connecticut native, starting now on the WIHS Journal. It's news and public affairs. You might have heard about something called Hartford's Got Talent that took place earlier in the year. And right now I am speaking with the co-founder and president of Hartford's Got Talent, Joe Young of Joe Young Entertainment. How you doing, Joe?
I am doing great, especially because I'm in the presence of Jerry, talented guy and community icon, Jerry. So I'm in a good space today, being with you. 104.9, brother.
Well, I must say that Hartford Got Talent, I was very impressed with the inaugural and very proud of something that took place in Hartford, right in the community. It went off without a hitch and was well received. Turnout was great, and to see all the various talent, and you did a great job as MC.
Oh, God. Bob Patricelli talked me into it, man. I'm trying to get out of it, Jerry. Never know who the next host is. We're looking at some other folks, too, hopefully.
In case you don't know, Bob Patricelli is the co-founder and principal funder of Hartford's Got Talent. We're going to talk about Hartford's Got Talent in a little bit, but before we get into Hartford's Got Talent, let's get into who Joe Young is.
Well, I was born in Hartford, Irving Street, and then we moved to Bloomfield. So in the late 60s, moved to Bloomfield, born in Hartford, and, do a lot of entertainment stuff. I think what's different about what I do in entertainment, Jerry, is not just entertainment, it's entertainment with a message. Anything, whether it's a movie or a cartoon, it's always a message involved, and that's one of the things that I think makes me unique, some type of positive message.
Who were some of your influences when you were coming up as a child?
Well, my mother, first of all, because she told me you can do anything you want to do. A teacher once told me you'll never be a writer. And she said, Joe, you can do whatever you want. Block that out. And I did that. But from a creative side, Charles Schultz, because people don't realize I started off as a cartoonist. I like the simplicity of his work, the warmth of his work, the message in his work, the innocence in his work. So I would say Charles Schultz was my biggest inspiration as a child. Just comic books, man. I'm a Marvel dude, man, and even Harvey comics. I even read Richie Rich and things. So comic books really, I don't know if it was a person per se, but I would say comic books was my biggest inspiration, man. How they drew it. I learned about entrepreneurism. Me and my friends collected comic books and traded and sold. So comic books have really influenced my life.
If you're just tuning in, I'm with Joe Young of Joe Young Entertainment. So speaking of comic books, you became a cartoonist, an animator. Yep. How did that all happen, man? Did you go to school?
No.
What happened?
I didn't start going to school. I went to college, dropped out to be a single parent, and then just recently got my master's a couple of months ago, my bachelor's 8 months before that, and my associate maybe 7 months before that.
So you became an animator. You actually have comic books out. Talk about some of the comic books and the animations that you have.
Well, I'm not animator. I'm an animation producer.
Animation producer. I stand corrected, folks.
I'm a cartoonist, though.
Cartoonist.
But when you say animator, you're actually animating the characters and building them and sculpting them.
Gotcha.
I'll do the initial drawing and stuff like that and then bring it to other people to make it a polished property.
So talk about some of your characters that you have, because you have characters.
Oh, I created Scruples from the early 80s, which is a group of kids who live on a group home. Some of the animation can be seen on Tubi TV, like the Christmas special. I created Hamilton Plummer, which is a personified cloud people don't know. And then in the literary world, I created a character, Diamond Ruff, who was a fictional character that was in a novel, and we turned that into a live-action film. And there's been different mascots I've created. BB, the ballot box for the city of Hartford. I've created Hartford Henry for the city of Hartford Fire Department. Horace B for the Bushnell. That character is one I created, and my biggest character, the one I'm most proud of, is Kemet the Time Traveler, which I created during COVID, and it's everything I've learned, all my inspiration, everything. He is a social justice investigator. And this is the character I'm most proud of. I think this will be my last character that I create.
Elaborate a little more on Kemet. I like the way he looks. He's a colorful guy, and he does what?
He is a 10-year-old kid born in the 1700s, and he's a prince in Africa. The slave catchers come over to his homeland, Zusa. Father's a king, and he's not down with selling other blacks, and they take him out, man. And Kemet comes over on the Middle Passage, man, and he goes to the Johnson plantation where he's trying to teach the slaves to read, and then Master Johnson puts a bounty on him, and he runs away, man, and he runs to the DMV, and he meets Benjamin Banneker. During that time, he learns about America, the great experiment, and he understands, but he knows that America has a lot of contradictions in how they treated black folks, and his mission, his purpose in life is to educate people in the future about the accomplishments and the excellence of black people. So he goes back and forth in his time machine from ancient Africa to the 20th century, 21st century, and showcases black excellence and black folks. And as an animated character, we have 6 comic books, and then we have a mascot that we're doing social media, TikTok videos. We're working on a teaser for a show. We're working with some of the guys who do some of the animation on the Cartoon Network. Richard Ferguson Hall, my friend, he is executive producer and director of the Harvey Birdman Show. He's the director on the Kemet animation. And then we're doing a live action full film on Kemet the mascot, man. So we go in pre-production next month, and all over the city you're going to see the big cameras and the crews, and we're doing this educational film called Kemet the Time Traveler. Then we're going to turn it into a series where he goes all across the country. Like, we're booked for Orlando, Florida, where he's going to discover all these black hidden gems, but we start right here in Connecticut for the first film.
I am with Joe Young of Joe Young Entertainment, and you're based right here in East Hartford. Your offices are right here in East Hartford, and I didn't even know that. I've been knowing you for quite some time, didn't know you were right here in East Hartford.
Hey, man, I'm trying to be a quiet storm, man. You know, I'd rather have the work show, man. The location is important, and I got a great group of people. A lot of people give me a lot of the credit, but I have a great team of people, man. I have Rabina McKinley. She's a senior producer. I mean, she's just amazing, man. She's been with me for about 4 years. She's a writer. She does her Weaverbird books, but she works on this. I have my son, Kyle, who's in L.A. He's a senior producer. My daughter, Paige, is a producer. We have Ed Richters. He's a producer here. And so that's just some of the people. We have about a team of 13 people, man. And I just feel blessed. And it's not transactional relationships. It's about people who believe in what I'm trying to do and what I can do to push their career forward as well. I want everybody to have their own thing, man.
Going back to Charles Schulz as being an influence when you were coming up as a kid, who were some of your favorite Charles Schulz characters?
Oh, man, of course, Charlie Brown, but I'm that Franklin dude too, man. He should have got more lines. And Snoopy was a cool dude, man, and all of them, man. Linus, man, and Pigpen, all the Schulz. And just the man Schulz, of how he never gave up. His story of never giving up. It wasn't Peanuts at first. It was called Little Folks. Schulz never liked that name, man, that the syndicate gave him. But it didn't matter. He believed in the property, and he had to get these messages out of his head, man. He had to live out his purpose in life, man. So even though I liked the characters, it was Charles Schulz's story of those characters created in 1950s that in his story.
Yeah. And little did Schulz know that somewhere in New England he was impacting a young Joe Young.
Yeah.
Which, if it wasn't for Schulz, we wouldn't have Kemet and
right.
Scruples, and the list is long.
And then there have been other inspirations, even in modern times, whether it's the Spike Lee's, the Tyler Perry's, or the Michael Schultz who did Car Wash. And it's been so many, and my parents, so it's been so many folks who've inspired me.
You've immersed yourself in entertainment over the years. Every time I see you, you're like a blur. You're constantly busy and got your hands in different projects. And I wonder, I was like, does this man ever sleep?
I can't wait wait to get up every day, man. That's
Yeah.
what happens when you find your purpose. This
Yes.
isn't a passion.
Right.
There's a difference between a passion and a purpose. Passion is something you like to do, have fun with, like a hobby. A purpose is that thing you were born to do. And I think God has blessed me with that ability to know and understand and give me the tools to live out my purpose.
And you just heard my conversation with Joe Young, president of Joe Young Entertainment. Join me tomorrow at this same time for part 2. If you would like more information about what you heard today, call WIHS 860-346-1049, 860-346-1049. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily of those of the staff or management of the station. I'm Jerry Williams for the WIHS Journal. It's news and public affairs.